They are very simple attacks, but we gotta make sure we understand some concepts and some details, otherwise we might try and lose some opportunities, okay? So, first thing that we are going to do here is that we are going to work a little bit on controlling the side control, not losing this advantage position that we got, and setting up the choke for the next technique, okay? I like to do the side control with these hands in this position as much as I do the side control in the classic way with the hands here, okay? And especially with flexible guys and guys that move so much the hips, I feel that this position here is a really good and really comfortable position because I can always control the guy's closer leg to me. I can always push and make sure that he doesn't get any of his knees inside to repair the guard, okay? So we are just going to switch hands from the classic position of side control, from here to here, okay? And we are going to start moving a little bit, and we will just let the guy on bottom of us try to repair and try to get himself in a better position than this one, okay? From here, I can move to the north-south position and even switch to the other side, okay? It doesn't matter much, for example, if this arm is going to be here or here. As much as I can put the weight of my chest, the weight of my upper body on top of him, control the shoulders. We are focused on controlling the shoulders now, and with the bottom hand, we're going to always avoid any attempt that the bottom guy might have of getting the inside and getting repairing any kind of okay? Just on top, the guy on bottom will be trying to move and will be trying to repair that. And I can just move it from one side to the other, for example, okay? Just a little bit so we can finish warm up and just get used to this position, to this kind of side control, okay? If it happens that the guy has his elbow already over the line of my hip, it's even better and easier, okay? All I need to do is to make sure that I get this knee under his head, and he won't be able to move this arm anymore. I just need to make sure I close my elbow with my knee, and he won't be able to get his elbow closer to the mat, and he won't move it, okay? If it happens that his elbow is closer, what I like to do to open it is that I like to keep my hands where they are, but I switch the position of my hips, and I try to get my hips closer to his hips, a little bit under, okay? After that, even if the guy has his elbow closed down, okay, I can start walking and pushing his elbow up with my hip until I can come back to this position where I have both of my knees on the mat, and I will be able to trap his arm this way, okay? Now, it's not too hard for me to switch the position of this hand, pass it under his head, okay? But I'm not trying to get this hand too deep yet, okay? I just need to make sure that he won't be moving his elbow, okay, that it's strapped, and I can use this hand on my own leg here, okay? And what I'll be doing next is that I'm going to get this hand on his hip, and I'm going to start walking to the north-south position, pushing his hips, because I need him to get on his side and not anymore with his back flat on the mat, okay? So I start walking, and I make sure that I get especially his lower back off the mat, okay? This head now I'm going to get on top of his ribs, okay? And from this position here, I can get both of my hands together and sprawl. Once I sprawl, okay, it's normal that he's get his back on the mat again. But I will be already in a position where his arm is completely up and trapped, okay, he won't be able to move it much. I'm blocking his elbow with my ribs here, and my forehead is already on the mat. I'm in a perfect position, not only to control him, but to squeeze a little bit of my arms and start walking into that direction and get the submission. Okay? So it's really simple, it's not hard to get, but we really need to get the control of this arm from the beginning to the end of the submission. Okay? So, normal side control position, I switch my arm to the other side of his head and this arm to the other side of his hip. Okay? If his elbow is already up, better. Okay? If not, of course, I need to make him open it up. So, I switch my hips and I get closer to his hips lower. Okay? Now, close your elbow, Thomas. The other one, yeah. All I need to do is to start pushing his elbow up with my own hip. Okay? After I feel that his elbow is open enough, I just need to get my knee under his head, and that's it. His arm will be trapped. Okay? He won't be able to much. He won't be able to move. From this position, I have the same control that I had before. All I need to do is to close my elbow with my knee, and he won't be able to move and to breach, for example, try to get this arm free. Okay? I just need to have this knee high under his leg, under his head, and my elbow closed with the knee. Okay? So now, I can lift a little bit his head, so I just switch the position of my hand. First of all, I make the grip on my own leg, and now I need to make sure that once I start walking to the north-south position, I push his hip and his legs this way, because then it's a lot easier for me to set the submission and especially keep the control of the guy's elbow. Okay? So I push, I start walking, I switch the position of my head, okay, and I get to this position. Both of my hands now together, I can sprawl. I'm starting to walk every time lower and lower. This ear on top of his ribs. All I need to do, I don't really need to squeeze my arms too tight. All I need to do is to walk a little bit towards his head, and I will get the choke. Okay? Once again, or that's enough?
Yeah, once again without the explanation. Just
Okay.
I can see what you do.
Se on ollut Tuomas kiva tulla Helsinkiin.
Okay? If the guy has his elbow closed down, it's a little bit harder in the beginning, but all I need to do is to get my hips low enough. So once I start moving my hips up and getting higher, closer to his head, I will be able to open his elbow with my movement, okay? From here, I stretch my leg and I get the knee under his head, okay? Switch hands, hand on the leg, all right? Make sure you guys always push the guy's hip that way, or the legs or the hip, because his defense in this situation would be bridging to my side, exactly, and trying to find the space to close his elbow down again, okay? If I push his legs or his hip in that direction, try to bridge now, Thomas. he won't find the space. And it's a lot easier for me to switch the position of my hand. Go. Sprawl. Get my hands together and go for the choke, okay? Always get as low as you can on the sprawl. And then you don't need to squeeze too tight. All you need to do is to walk towards his head and the choke will come, okay? All right, so this is the first option. What happens if during this sequence here, let's say I was able to get his hips up, his elbow up, I'm here, I switched my hands, okay? I think that the trickiest moment is exactly when I'm trying to switch my hand from this side to the other side, okay? What happens if I'm fighting a strong guy, he bridges, he pushes my head, and he's able to get his elbow close down to the mat again. Let's say, try to go for the bridge, exactly here, and he's able to get it here, okay? So, I make sure I have a good grip on my leg from the beginning. It doesn't matter which one I'm trying, the first one that I showed you guys or the second one. And it's really important that the knee is under his head. If he bridges and if he gets his elbow to the mat, okay, all I need to do is to keep pushing with my ribs, his shin here, and I will still be able to get the traditional north-south choke, okay? If I get to this position and I'm still blocking at least his shin, even if the hand is not there anymore, the elbow is not there anymore, it's okay. I can still go for the choke. Normally the guy now is trying to block my second hand from this grip here so I can get the submission, okay? So what I normally do, try to use this hand, yeah, okay. So this might be hard sometimes to get both of my hands together to go for the choke, all right? I have two options. The first one is to get my knee under his arm, okay, in a way that I still push his shin with my ribs, okay? So now, even if he tries here to block my hand from getting, I can get under his arm, make my grip anyway, and come back up, opening his elbow. The choke will work the same way, okay? If not, I do the same thing. Let's say I'm here. The guy is trying to block my second hand. I get this knee up under his shoulder, all right? Try to block here. I move my hand over his biceps in this way. Now he's not blocking my elbow anymore, my hand anymore. Try to get my hand. He just can't. So I keep pushing with my rib, both of my hands together. I go for the choke, and the same details they apply here. I go as low as I can, and then I push to the side until I can submit, okay? So let's just say, can I use it, please? We go for the same choke, switch hands, okay? Here. I can try to push, all right? I get to this position, I switch my hands are here. If the guy, if it slips, okay, and he's able to get his elbow free, no problem. Just make sure you don't lose his shin, okay? You keep pushing his shin with your ribs, okay? And your hand will be already in a good position to do the classic north-south choke. Now, the tricky part. The guy will normally, if the guy doesn't make any resistance with this arm, okay, I can choose my grip here or here. Sprawl, walk, all the details like we did in the first technique. My hand on this side of his ribs, I go as low as I can, I push a little bit with my upper body and I get the submission. If it happens that the guy is now blocking my hand, what do? I keep pushing with my ribs, but I get this leg under his arm, okay? Why? Because it gets a lot easier for me now to get rid of that grip that was blocking me before, or in this way, where I just open his elbow up, I make my grip, and I come back to go for the choke, or here, hand inside, I get rid of that grip, I do my own grip, I come back, and I go for the choke the same way, okay? Always remember and make sure that controlling comes first, and especially when we are talking about this elbow here. Let's say, switch hips, start pushing, open it up, okay? I always need to get my knee the most that I can under his head, okay? And every time that he tries to get his hips closer to me and start moving this direction, it's really important for me that I push his legs there, in that way, and control his hips in this situation, okay? Because his defense will always be bridging that side, yeah, and trying to get the elbow down, okay? If he gets the elbow down, it's okay, it's no problem. I just can lose the shin. His defense for any of the chokes will be if his shin is inside, and from this position I can't choke him anymore. Okay, so always from the beginning, here. Knee under his head, I make the grip on my own leg first, push, then I start walking, I will be able to walk in here. If he, by any chance, gets his elbow free, no problem, but the shin is the one that I can miss, okay? Try to look inside the pose. If I can't control his elbow the whole time, at least his shin must be controlled so he won't look inside. At least one of the two submissions I will get. Alright? From here, if he blocks my head, no problem. I get my knee under, I block his arm a little bit, or I get it over, or from the inside, and I'll choke him anyway. From here, all I need to do is to walk as long as I can, push his head with my rib, and I will be able to get him in at least one of the two chokes. Okay? The controlling from the beginning, having his elbow up and having his back off the mat in that way, pushing his hip in that direction is the most important thing. This way he won't be able to look inside, and we will get the tap one way or another. Okay? Drink some water if you guys want, and we go for this.